Mr. Gindi will be joining us a little bit later. And we shall start. Good evening. Welcome to the South River Mayor and Borough Council meeting number 16 on October 23rd, 2023. This meeting is hereby called to order. The statement of notice of publication. Madam Clerk.
In compliance with Chapter 231 of Public Law of 1975, notice of this meeting to be held at the Criminal Justice Building, 61 Main Street, South River, has been published in the Home News Tribune on January 6, 2023, posted on the Municipal Building Bulletin Board, the Borough website, the front door of the Criminal Justice Building at 61 Main Street, South River.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mayor Krenzel?
Here.
Councilwoman Ballas?
Here.
Councilman Gindi will be here later. Councilman Kurczynski?
Here.
Councilwoman Mira?
Here.
Councilman Oliveira?
Here.
Council President Ciula?
Here.
Please stand for the salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. There are no proclamations, honor, awards, or presentations. There is something on our business agenda, also called the agenda session, the vacant property ordinance. Councilwoman Mara wants to speak about this.
Yeah, Mayor, I asked to put this on today because I wanted to know what have we done since our last change of the vacant property ordinance. I believe we put a price change on it, but are we still requiring these vacant properties to register within the borough, pay the fee for being vacant? And how many would you say that we have on file with the borough?
Maybe the code enforcement might have that, right? But they still pay if they fill out a registration form. The check comes with the registration form when they complete it.
If they fill out the registration form.
I think the ordinance says they're supposed to, I believe, comply with the vacant property. I think they have to contact the borough, I believe. But I think if Tom does notice that there's something vacant, he follows up on it.
Well, can you look at that and report back to us at our next meeting?
Sure.
Okay.
I asked because I did ask Tom for a list. He was unaware that we had an ordinance for it. He's compiled a list since he's been around. So I'm pretty sure we had one prior, but when he started compiling of a list of noticeable vacant properties. I'm asking this because we know that the woman the last time came about 10 Spring Street. It's a vacant property. We don't have anybody on file to contact. We got DPW to clean up the lot. Now they have a few $1,000 bill to pay to the borough, which becomes a lien on their property, but we don't have anybody on file to pay for that. So how do we go about finding who's in charge of these vacant properties so that the borough isn't held responsible for cleaning them up?
I think you asked Rich, right, Art, and everybody, same question. And I think we've told you that we've tried numerous times to try to get a hold of somebody, certified letters, everything, and it just comes back undeliverable, but they still pay their bills.
So they pay their taxes online.
Correct, everything's paid online.
How can we stop that from happening so that they come to the borough to pay so that we can figure out who's in charge of the property?
Legally, I don't think we can stop them from paying online, correct? Yeah, so I think if they still want to pay online, they're still going to pay online.
Okay, so now we have a few $1,000s in a lien on that property. Somebody's going to have to come and pay for the lien, correct? They can't do that online?
No, they have to come and pay for it. If they don't, then it'll be sold at tax sale next
Okay.
year.
Next year, not this year.
Because it's a 2023 charge. So delinquencies in 23 are sold in 2024's tax sale. So the tax sale this year is for 2022's delinquencies.
Okay. So I'm just bringing this up. The woman had come to our meeting previously. We have a vacant property ordinance. We reduced the amount of what we were charging for the vacant property ordinance. We don't know if everybody's complying with that because it's if they register, then we know if they pay or not. Tom did give me a list of what he had. There is one other property that I know that isn't on this list that's been vacant. So I'm just trying to see if we could look into this, especially when you see residents like her coming here wanting to improve the neighborhood. She pushed for us to clean that property because She's going to be living next door, and we're paying for the property to be cleaned up. So I just want to see if we can look into that and see what our next steps are. Tom had also asked me, at what point of a bill, like, okay, let's say these properties are vacant, they might still have water or electric on. At what point do we put those kind of liens on those vacant properties? And if we can't find the owner, like, what is the next step?
Any open bill, water, electric, cleanup charges will be a lien if they don't pay it. If they pay it, it won't become a lien. So if they're paying online and we can't get a hold of them because they're paying online, there's nothing the borough can do. We're not going to put a lien on a property that has no delinquent balance. So if the people are paying online, then their account is current. The lien doesn't mean anything.
So the property maintenance has to be paid in person, though, correct?
That won't be paid online, correct? That has to come in person. So if they don't come in person by 2024, when the tax sale happens, they'll be sold at tax sale for that cleanup charge.
So what happens to a property after it has a lien on it and nobody comes and pays for it?
Some third-party person's going to bid on it and could possibly get it and then foreclose in a couple of years. There's a whole foreclosure process that the lien holders know about. So if they're going to get notified numerous times by certified mail. If it keeps coming back undeliverable, the property could eventually be sold to a third-party lien holder.
Okay. I just wanted to bring this up because the resident has been here and spoke about it several times, and trying to find a way to find people who don't register, because this is one. And how many other ones do we have that aren't registered?
Look into it and report it back to us at the next meeting. If there's nothing else on that issue, ordinances, second reading, public hearing, 2023-26. Madam Clerk.
Ordinance 2023-26, an ordinance of the Borough of South River, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, amending the Borough Code of the Borough of South River so as to amend Chapter 193 entitled Vehicles and Traffic.
Make a motion to waive the full reading.
Motion has been made by Mr. Seula, seconded by Mrs. Ballas to waive the full reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? The ayes have it. Opening this up to the public. If anyone wishes to come forward concerning this ordinance, which concerns handicap removal parking space, you can come forward now. Please give your name and address on first call, second call, third call.
Motion to close.
Motion to close by Mr. Gurczynski.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Seula. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. All against? The ayes have it. Your pleasure on the ordinance.
Move the ordinance.
The ordinance has been moved by Mrs. Ballas,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Seula. Discussion. Roll call.
Councilwoman Ballas?
Yes.
Councilman Gertenski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mira?
Yes.
Councilman Olivera?
Yes.
Council President Seula?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance has been adopted. Ordinance 2023-27. Madam Clerk.
Ordinance 2023-27, an ordinance amending an ordinance fixing the salary ranges of certain borough officers and employees in the Borough of South River.
Make a motion to waive the full reading.
Motion has been made by Mr. Seula,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Gurczynski. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? The ayes have it. Opening this up to the public. Anyone wishes to come and make comment or ask questions, please give your name and address on first call, second call, third call.
Motion to close public.
Motion is closed public by Mr. Seula,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Gurczynski. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? The ayes have it. Your pleasure on the ordinance.
Make a motion to move the ordinance.
The ordinance has been moved by Mr. Seula,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Olivera. Discussion. Roll call.
Councilwoman Ballas?
Yes.
Councilman Gertenski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mira?
Yes.
Councilman Olivera?
Yes.
Council President Seula?
Yes.
The ordinance has been adopted. Moving on to reports. Mr. Koch.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. The 2022 local aid program, you have a resolution on your agenda tonight for final payment. We are working on the DOT closeout, and then that I can remove from the update. 2023 local aid program, we're working on that design. The 2023 local transportation projects grant, we're waiting for announcement from the governor's office. Same with the local aid program for 2024. We did some research, and it looks like there's a 2024 local transportation projects grant as well. So if you'd like to pursue that, just pick another roads or select various roads And we'll put an application together for that as well. The substation, you have a resolution on your agenda tonight to award that contract. And the DEP Stormwater Assistance Grant application, our survey work, I think is substantially done for this year's phase. I will give you a better update on that at the next meeting. And that is it, unless there are any questions.
Any questions for Bruce?
I have a question, Bruce.
Yeah.
Two things. I know I had mentioned a few months ago of possibly doing handicap ramps by the Fitzy's Park, down by like the, I guess, Center and Union Street.
Uh-huh.
Would that play into any of the projects that are still not finished or going to be with the 2023 program?
If you want to add them to the existing project, if you, the governing body, decide that, we could roll that into it, because we're still working on the design. So if that was the case, and the funding would allow it, I guess, see if the description allows. Pardon me?
Can you do it like an alternate?
Sure, just I first need to know which ones, but I could put it in, and then, but I didn't know if the description in the ordinance gave you the leeway to do another location. That's all.
Do we have a while before that goes out to bid?
Yeah, we have time to get it in there, so
Okay.
if that's what you'd like, yes, sure.
Just because there's a few park areas, maybe we can look at others as well before we get it done.
Yeah, I defer to the governing body and Joe in terms of money and how the ordinance is structured, in terms of where work can be done, but in terms of us rolling it into it, if that's your pleasure, I'm fine.
And then my other question was the curb and sidewalk program. When should we start announcing stuff like that, or if we'll be able to do that?
You could start that now if you want. I don't know if it's a good time of year for that, for folks in general, approaching the holidays, but sure, anytime that you want to.
Just to start it up, and then that would be a project that would happen.
Just put it on the website and put a cutoff date and see how many responses you get. But absolutely, anytime you like. Whether it's rolled into a project or done separately,
There's always a form on the site, so there's a few on file right now from the last year that's
Okay.
going to be in this project. I think there's like 4 or 5 or 7 or something, there's not too many. But people keep sending them in every time, every month or so, and then we keep them on file for the next road project. So, I think Michelle has 7, I think.
Okay.
so
If we just remind people that we offer that to be able to sign up before we put out that project.
the one we're working on now. Yeah, that's fine. Whatever you guys want to do. Sure. Fine with me.
Governing body, could we put some handicap ramps by Fitzy's Park?
If you can give them specifics on it, I don't think there's a problem. If you're doing something, you do it all at once.
It's just the 4 corners that are behind Fitzy's Park. A lot of people in that area tend to walk with strollers and things back there, and there's no handicap ramps on either 4 corners. So I was just wondering if we could add it to a project that we
There's no
do.
curbs on Union.
So down by the baseball field?
Correct.
That intersection there?
On South Side?
Behind, not south side,
Union.
the other side, so it's Union, Center.
Is-
It's missing handicap ramps.
Is there curbs there? I didn't think there was curbs on that side.
There should be curbs because there's sidewalks on Center Street. There's no,
They're not coming up Union.
That's why I said, you mean South Side and Yates and Union and Yates? So that'd be a
Maybe
total
down
of
the
8?
corner.
no.
Okay. Look at what you want done, get back to us, and in the meantime, talk to Mr. Zanga, Mr. Koch, so that you can get that, they can start the wheels in motion as to see about the money situation. Okay?
Thank you.
No, nobody has an objection to what you're doing, it's just, you need the specifics. Okay, anything else? No? Okay. Mr. Zanga?
Yes, thanks, Mayor. You have a resolution approving your 2022 audit. There was no recommendations. All the departments did a very good job. Each governing body member has to sign the group affidavit, so hopefully everyone has signed that. You also have a resolution for approval of the best practice checklist. There was 67 question inventory. We received enough yeses to get our final state aid payment. You have a resolution to waive interest on delinquent water and electric bills through 12/31 of '23. There's also a transfer resolution to be effective on 11/1, which is what the law allows. And you also have a final resolution for an emergency resolution for transformers. We found a vendor that actually has transformers, so we're doing an emergency resolution to purchase from them. The other resolution from the other vendors, the other PO from the other vendor is still 2 years out that we haven't received transformers. So the electric department is able to contact the vendor that actually has some right now in hand. So that's why we're doing it.
Okay. Anything for Joe?
I had a question, Joe. Not questioning your best practices form. I just had a few questions since there were stuff on there, you know, with the yeses and the nos of what we do or don't. I know one of them was no, that we don't have an ethics board. Are we required to have one in a small?
I don't know. It's a question that had yes, no, or NA, I believe, and we've never had one here, so I'm not sure if you're required to have it or not.
You're not required to have it. If you do not have an ethics board, some municipalities want an ethics board. If you don't have an ethics board, you report to the local finance board. And that is the people who adjudicate your ethics violations and complaints.
Okay. The other one that I know we still had no on was the inspections for lead-based paint hazards in rental dwellings and other dwellings. We had put no on all of these questions on the survey. Are we looking to do a shared service agreement with anyone regarding getting stuff like that done? Because if it's going to continue to be the questions on this every year, it definitely is something that we need to look into to get done, correct?
Yeah, I think we're looking into shared service right now, but I think a lot of towns are having problems with the same category.
With all of the lead base, we don't know anybody around here.
Well, is that the problem because there aren't people who to do it?
Correct. On staff, there's nobody to do it, so I think we reached out to a couple of the towns to try to see if we can do an interlocal agreement with them. I don't think,
Couple of private companies that have now come forward just last week.
Send the sample.
They basically charge $250 a house and bill directly to the homeowner, trying to do something better.
My other question was with one of the no questions that you answered was number 53, that we don't have any municipal shared service agreements. I thought we had a shared service agreement with Milltown.
with the state of New Jersey. We have shared service agreements, but they're not sent to the state of New Jersey. So we approve them here, but they're not put on the state of New Jersey's website as a shared service. So that's why I put no.
Oh, okay.
So in the future, we should do that. Every time we approve one, we should send it to the state immediately. So
Is that something that's required, or we just,
I don't know if it's required. It's on the checklist as a no. So I'm not sure if the state requires it, but they asked that question, I think, last year, too, the same question.
Did they ever come back to us with that question? No, so,
I don't know if Andrew did.
Encourage you to do
Yeah, they
it.
encourage, right?
They
Yeah, so I don't know.
encourage you to send it to the state. It's not required.
so
Okay.
they,
Under
the
the
state
statute.
feels better.
It comments on how many shared services there are in
Yeah.
New Jersey.
and my last one is, I know we have here that we have public electric vehicle charging stations. I know we have yes on that, but is our charging station currently working?
Yes.
It's been fixed? Okay. Because somebody had told me that it wasn't functioning.
Went down there Friday and it's working. So I don't have an electric vehicle to plug it in, but the screen's all ready to go, and I haven't heard any complaints lately. So
Okay.
I mean, the whole screen is ready to go, you know, but I didn't see a vehicle there. So until someone tells me they tried to plug it in, it doesn't work. Right now, I believe it works.
Okay. That's all I have for that.
Okay. Anything else? No? Fire chief, have anything to report? No? Okay. We don't have our DPW here, so, but I'll ask our chief of police.
The only thing I have is resolution 303. It's the resolution to appoint Soraya Martinez to the position of 303 for the schools. Martinez comes to us after 25 years of service with the Connect Police Department. She retires as detective sergeant, function and capacity of juvenile detective there. So she's more than highly qualified for the position, and she will be replacing one of the threes that resigned early in the summer.
Okay, anything for our chief? Let's see, to our clerk, the big day's coming up there in November. We're all set, hatches are battened down, we've got all of our poll workers and everything
Yep,
set.
the supplies are gonna be delivered soon,
Okay,
so everything should be going good.
okay.
Yep.
Is there any place in South River for early voting, or is that going to be outside? No, it'll be in, closest one is, I think, Saraville.
I think there's one in East Brunswick as well.
East Brunswick? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
Mhm.
all right then. So, if you haven't put in your vote by mails, get them in. Early voting, Saraville, East Brunswick. Madam Attorney, anything?
I have nothing tonight, Mayor.
Okay,
I have nothing.
nothing? Very good. All right, our reports. Mr. Gindi has joined us. Mr. Gindi, anything?
I have nothing for tonight.
Okay, Mrs. Ballas?
I have a few things. Just a reminder that the free mobile health clinic is going to happen this Wednesday, the 25th, at the VFW parking lot from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you still have questions, you can call 732-308-0570. They are offering COVID-19 vaccines, flu vaccines, A1C diabetes screenings, and blood pressure screenings. No ID, documentation, or proof of insurance is needed to receive any vaccines or any of the screenings. If anybody wants to look, there's a flyer there. The South River Community, the food bank is again doing a Thanksgiving dinner in partnership with the Rio Mar, Green Construction, St. Peter and Paul's Orthodox Church, the South River Fire Department, and the Women's Auxiliary. It will be at St. Peter and Paul's Church on 9 Jeffrey Avenue on Thursday, November 23rd, between 12 and 2. You must RSVP by November 15th. If there's any questions, it's 732-238-3020 if you're able to attend, or if you are no longer able to attend. I know down probably at 48, there are forms you can fill out if anybody wants to see them. I have some here. And the South River Food Bank is doing its 2023 Holiday Food Drive. The special items, canned food, instant mashed potatoes, anything that anybody would need to make their own holiday meal or maybe have something delivered. Again, any questions, the food bank is taking donations on 98 Jackson Street, and also the South River Public Library are taking vacations. I also have extra flyers of those if anybody needs them. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Seula?
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Mr. Oliveira?
Tree lighting ceremony will be held on December 1st at Daly's Pond. Our wrestling and basketball signups for winter registration are also open. So if anyone is interested, please reach out to Terry or Jessica. You can still register in person as well at 55 Reed Street. My wife and daughter were able to attend the trunk and treat, and I'm sure you'll speak on behalf of the library. But I just want to give a huge shout out to Parks and Rec and the library. From what Terry told me this morning, there were about 500 kids in attendance. So we're really happy that events continue to grow. And of course, the partnership between Parks and Rec and South River Library, I'm sure they were extremely happy. So I look forward to hearing Councilwoman Mara speak on that. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Gurczynski?
Thank you, Mayor. A few things. Adriano asked me to say that this Saturday, the leaf bag pickups are starting, and they are not at the water section. They are at the recycling bins. It's on, October 28th, this Saturday, November 4th, November 11th, and November 25th. And you have to have proof of residency. In each allotment, you receive 20 bags. Also, the hydrant flushing has started. We are in the second round, which is Section 2 in this town. And to find out if you happen to be in that section, if you don't happen to have a municipal calendar, you could go to southriverNJ.org/249/hydrant flushing. And it'll give you the complete schedule and the streets that are on it at the particular time. And of course, they remind you, do not do any laundry, run your water at first and everything like that too, to make sure that it's not discolored before you use it. Okay, that's all I have right now, Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Mara?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'd like to say I wish Richard and Lisa were here today, because they would have more going on about talking about the rain garden event that we had at the high school with the Shade Tree Environmental Commission. I know that was a success for them. The Environmental Commission also held the Free Cycle event that everybody was able to put stuff out in their front yards. They had to postpone it to last weekend because the one before it was rained out. But I did see a lot of towns signed up and had their stuff out this weekend, so thank you for that. The Environmental Commission is also looking to do a community cleanup for this weekend. I didn't get a confirmation yet, so I would just say to double check on their Facebook page for the times on that, and that would be a community cleanup for adults within the borough on October 28th. The library, I'd like to say they did a fantastic job with the trunk or treat. They hosted it at the library. Parks and Rec was able to get all the family and friends and people over there with their cars and decorations and all dressed up. The library did crafts to take home. They had little pumpkins for people to paint, and they made the library very spooky for the kids to walk through. So my kids enjoyed it. It was a wonderful day. I know I got there towards the end, and there was still a crowd, families dressed up with themes that went with their cars. Kids tatted their arms up before they left with spooky Halloween tattoos. So I'm pretty sure all the kids had a very good time, and I appreciate when Parks and Rec and the library can do things together to make it bigger. And even the police department was there with their trunk or treating. So I was happy to see all the departments come together for that. They do have in November their book sale as well from the Friends of the South River Library. Look for that. And they had a good success with the Eclipse program on Saturday, October 14th. The Nassau grant gave them some tools to work with and made the program a success. So people were down there and were able to look at the eclipse. They are going to have another program in November for the 100th anniversary with a presentation from the New Jersey State Parks on November 14th at 6:30 p.m. That's all I have for now, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Nothing for me to report. Public comments, 10 minutes per person. Please give your name and address. You may come forward now.
John Hauserman, 211 Willett Avenue. As to you can't find the people, Joe, you can't find the people dealing with that one property or some other properties in town because they pay online. Well, you have a copy of their account number and the routing number. And again, they do have to fill out the name and address and phone and city and state when they fill it out. So why can't you use that information to locate that?
Yes, and the bills go to the Spring Street address, and they pick it up there. And the online doesn't always have an email address. This one did. We tried to reach out to their email, no response.
But you have the bank information.
Well, the bank can give us that information.
Well, they are in violation of the ordinance, which is
Everything's blacked out except a couple digits, so we don't have all of that.
right. But if you reached out to the bank, since they are in violation of a local ordinance, perhaps the police department could make an inquiry.
That's a civil matter that would have to go through.
Do you know which bank it is at least? And what about the name and address that's included?
There's no name. That's what I'm saying. We looked at everything behind the scenes that we could for the online. I mean, there's nothing that's open. Everything's blacked out except the last 4 digits on certain things. There was these state out, certified letters. They tried to get an email address. Everything bounces back. Nothing.
All right, so have you fined them according to whatever the amounts are in the ordinance currently? Have you fined them?
Would you speak in the,
Yeah, have you
On their-
fined them? For the
Vacant property.
violation of the vacant property.
I don't know. You spoke with Tom, so I'm not sure what conversation.
Well, Tom just compiled a list of vacant properties. He didn't know that we had an ordinance that would charge residents.
I'm not going to speak for Tom, but I
Wait a minute.
And he wouldn't be involved with the payment.
Tom would probably send something to the address that would come back undeliverable, would there be some file at least that was sent? I would assume, but I don't want to speak for Tom though, because that's Tom's department.
Tom sends the bill that the DPW generates to numerous addresses, including 10 Spring Street. They don't pick them up.
At 10 Spring Street, they don't pick it up? Okay, because you said it's mailed and somebody picks it up.
Yeah.
That's what I
said
thought
that
you
before.
said, that somebody picks it up.
The ones that had been picked up before, the latest ones, according to a neighbor, the person's incarcerated. That takes care
And
of
so
the
the mail
estate.
is just sitting there.
Yeah.
It just,
Well, the post office returns it to us.
okay.
Certified return receipt.
How about the regular mail? Is the regular mail picked up, Councilwoman?
I have no idea.
Okay.
If there was a forwarding order on it, it would expire after 1 year's time.
Okay, but again, they are in violation of the ordinance, so at least I hope that we are fining them every year, correct? If they don't make the payment, it increases every year. At least that's how it was when we put it in. I don't know how you modified it.
Thing is, on the record right now, if they don't pay by next year's tax bill, they'll go to tax sale. If the property needs to be cleaned up again, I'll bill them again.
Okay.
And there'll be more charges on it.
So at least by next year, because it'll be on the tax sale, because there's no way to communicate the lien to them, correct? Okay.
Tax department will do everything they have to do legally, and if no one, tax sale, and a third-party person can purchase that lien.
Okay. And then assume they're paying the utilities, correct? Okay. All right. Just a question, have we started, I thought Agra was going to be here making a report again, but did we start the process that they said that was going to coat at least the rust and everything in the lines?
DEP decided to decline giving us a temporary permit.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have to fill out the application for a permanent permit
Okay.
and wait for them to review it.
Okay, so,
We
but,
asked for the temporary permit to start work.
Mhm.
They wouldn't give it to us.
okay. But again, that is going to be the plan going forward, at least temporarily.
Yeah.
To put
We
the-
did- we
the
had
two-
we had a meeting with DEP last week. They've asked us to use the same chemical that Middlesex Water uses, so
Mhm.
that, and we're moving forward.
Was
They
it
tell
poly-
us they're gonna expedite our application.
The polyphosphate and the sodium hydroxide, you said
Right.
the two of those. That
Well,
was the
it's in a
plan.
certain type of sodium hydroxide.
Yeah,
You know, we reached out to Middlesex Water, and they gave us what they use. We have to submit it and get it approved before we can do anything.
okay, all right. And then now, I assume that if we're going to be, say, cleaning and relining the pipes, that would probably go, a plan would be probably drawn up eventually by you to, again, somebody would have to pick which pipes to do or whatever, so that would, I assume would have to be a decision made by the council approving Bruce to start the work, at least in that sense, once you've decided.
Once everything is decided as to where, costs, pricing, all of that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else, please?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jim Hutchison, 38 Virginia Street. I thought from the last meeting we were going to have on the agenda tonight something about the Virginia Street traffic plan.
That is going to be, as I'm envisioning this, at our next meeting. I want the people on Virginia Street to be informed of that.
Ah,
So
okay.
then,
On the
everyone-
website, the whole plan is on the website with drawings.
Okay. Okay.
and then I want them, the DPW workers can individually say to the people, look at the website. Here's, this is what it is. Come, it'll be on the agenda session for our meeting at our next meeting in November. And they can then make any comments. Maybe nobody will show up. Maybe they'll all like it. Don't know. And then we can proceed to there. I mean, some things is very simple. Double yellow line, we can do that immediately.
I'll make sure that I started informing a lot more people over there, but
What
they're
happens if
they're
somebody
very,
can't
very
get on
aware.
the
I had a lot
website?
of conversations with people following our last meeting, so.
What happens if somebody doesn't have access to the website? A lot of people, some people older don't have computers. How are they gonna know?
Can we put on TV 35 as well?
There has to be another way.
What about mail notices?
I
Well,
was thinking the same thing.
We mail
Well,
notice?
how is DPW going to inform the residents? We're going to
They
have
said
them.
they have a
simple,
plan. Is
they
there
go
something they can-
place to place, they just walk down the street and do it that way, or we can mail it. But if you want to, we could have the notice there, and just with the notice, I mean, how many pages is it? Just put it in with the envelope and give it to them and say, here's the plan. What do you think? Come tell us what you think. That's an idea, okay? You know, maybe we could have one of the workers do it, you know, maybe, I don't know, when the bus driver isn't doing
I
anything.
was gonna say, I don't know about that
Just set
guy.
up a table on your corner, Jim. Set up a table on your corner by your house and you just,
Again?
Yeah.
I'll see what I can do. Maybe I can print that out and I can be the town crier.
there you go.
Yeah. Keep in contact with Mr. Lindensky and,
Will do. Will
yes.
do. Associating with the water system, I know one of the questions then would be too, if we're going to be doing any kind of cleaning and lining program, I think we want to inform the public how that actually works too, because it's not that we just, you know, their service gets interrupted. It's an impact because you're fed basically off a hydrant, and the pipe is dewatered, and then the cleaning and lining takes place, and you have a temporary service run into your house. So it is a very complicated process. So it's something we obviously wouldn't want to do in any kind of winter time because of icing conditions, etc. And then we'd have to stop and think, you know, at which pipes, what size pipes would we actually be using the cleaning and lining for? I'm still very surprised at the amount of 4-inch mains that we have in South River, which, in my opinion, they should be replaced by minimum 6-inch pipes. You don't clean and line those. That would be a mistake. I'm not sure if we'd go 6-inch, if we'd even clean and line 6-inch. But it is a very complicated process, and it takes a lot of time. So it's not, I just want to make sure the public's aware. This is something that you just don't overnight clean and line the pipes, and, you know, a week and a half later you're done. As a former worker for, employee for Middlesex Water Company, that was a 30-year program for Middlesex Water Company to clean and line their pipes. And they were basically done with that. Then you restart. Now, certainly Middlesex Water Company is a much larger customer base and many, 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 many more miles of mains. But again, you're still talking about the dollar value associated with that. Where are you going to get the money from? Hopefully grants. But it is a very complicated process, and when you start doing that, you want to continue doing it. You want to go from beginning to end, because if not, you're defeating the purpose of the entire project. So, looking forward to that. And in fact, if there's any questions, I'd love to be part of that. So, thank you. Appreciate it, and have a good evening, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mayor, council member, my name is Dan Kennelly, 16 Alexandra Court. So the last time I was here was beginning of, I guess it was late spring, early summer. And unfortunately haven't been able to come, but I've been watching a lot of the videos, you know, online of the council meetings. And so some of the questions that have been talked about in terms of the water and the infrastructure. One of the questions that I have is, what is the legality of the city having to provide potable water 24/7? Sure, there's a legal requirement to provide potable water that I can drink, that I can bathe in, right? Is that a yes? It's a no?
Should be.
Well, I'm not sure if we understand.
I
Yeah.
understand what he's going at.
So what?
So-
Go
I
ahead.
mean, there, the municipality or your water service company has a right to charge you for that, and we do. I'm not really sure what you're going for here.
Understood.
And maybe this is something that we can talk offline about, so I can figure out where you're going, so we can have a more
Sure.
in-depth
Well, I guess
conversation.
the bigger picture is what I'm looking at is any service that I am paying for, I should be getting that service 24/7. So for example, Comcast, my internet goes out, I call them up, they prorate me for not having that service 24/7. I understand it's not the same with water, for example, because obviously I'm not using that particular amount of water, then I'm not being charged for it. But if I am using that water, right, and it's not, I have to run it for a period of time, as it was mentioned, you know, to make sure it's clean, or, hey, don't do your laundry during this period of time, that's a little concerning, right? Am I not getting, you know, fortunately where I live, I don't get the brown water as much as other areas, and so I'm fortunate about that. But it's led me to this question, this conclusion that, you know, if I'm doing my laundry, am I forced before I go do laundry that day to go look on Facebook, is today okay to do laundry, or do I gotta not do it and gotta wait because of whatever is going on in the town with the water before I ruin my clothes, right? I don't know if that's a reasonable explanation or a reasonable solution that you're providing the public, the residents of this town, by saying, hey, don't do your laundry because we got, you know, the fire hydrant.
You mean the
whether it's the
flushing,
flushing or whether it's the, you know, when we have the big fire and stuff like that, right? I understand, you know, those you can't control.
Right.
When those happen, but you can't control because of the infrastructure that we have. And so my question also to this point, and I'm just kind of just venting a little bit, but I think it's something to think about. If I've got to go out and buy bottled water because I can't drink the water that's coming out of my tap, why do I have to pay for that? Why do I got to pay for the bottled water? Why can't I be able to do my laundry? And if your water that you're providing me isn't suitable and it's going to discolor my clothes, my whites or whatever, because we heard that one at that last meeting, why is that okay? And I bring this again up, which I brought up last time, and it fell on deaf ears. You didn't respond. But 5 years ago, there was an interview that you did with a news organization identifying the issue. Here we are 5 years later, and it's the same issue. How many more years until this problem gets, I mean, obviously we're identifying it, but I've watched the Zoom stuff 2 months ago, 2 or 3 month meetings ago, you had the different gentlemen here explaining the opportunities and stuff, you know, the solutions, right? But it took 5 years. I don't know how that's okay. I've only lived here for 6 years. How long have you been in this seat?
I've been here for 12.
And so you've ignored it you've identified it in a news, right? But you haven't done anything. No action's been taken. I get it where we're at, but that's not good, right? That's very concerning. So that's what I wanted to voice on that. I know you guys are working it, but is it going to be another 5 years? And then his lining, what's the, and I think they may have mentioned, but I don't recall, the longevity of doing the lining versus the replacing. Like, how long does that lining last for? Doing it.
It depends on where you are and what is happening at any given moment. As you heard, the gentleman said 30 years. I heard 40 years. That every 40 years, they start at a point and they go throughout whatever their section is. And at the end of the 40 years, they start over at that same section when they start again.
Sure.
And they just keep changing the pipes like that because, you know.
I mean, it's definitely something that should have been started. Obviously, I think we've kind of identified that. I don't want to keep beating that into the ground, but this is just something, you know, I don't know what I don't know. On my house, so I've got my yard, sidewalk, the grass, and there's a tree there. Am I responsible for trimming that tree when it's hanging over wires, or is that?
No, if it's hanging over wires, DPW's responsible.
Okay, so I didn't articulate the branches hanging over, but I did fill out the form on DPW, sent that in because I thought the tree was kind of rotting in the middle, but it seems to be all right. But nobody responded to it. So I guess the DPW person's not here, but if somebody can make a note of that, like, I put that question
We'll
out.
follow up on it tomorrow.
And
Talking about a branch or a tree?
It's a tree.
The original thing was so the tree, the inside of it looked like it was all kind of rotting. So I requested somebody come out and take a look at it to see if it was, dying or.
We don't have any tree experts in DPW.
Yeah.
We do send it over to the Shade Tree Commission.
Okay.
And they do make an inspection. You can call DPW, find out if they've done that inspection.
Sure. But again, I filled out that form
Again,
and
if
there was
they
no
deem it-
response, so
if
sure.
they deem it, if they give permission to be removed, depending on where the tree is located, then it might be your responsibility or the borough's responsibility.
Yeah, and that's what I don't know,
Be the
right?
curb and sidewalk or on your property?
It's across the sidewalk, so it's the.
It's curb and sidewalk.
It's the curb and
All right.
sidewalk.
I'm
yeah,
looking at it now.
So it's across, yeah.
I have a question. When
Yes.
you filled out the form, did you fill out to remove it or to trim it?
Neither. I just filled out for them to come and check to see, because I thought it was rotting, right? So, because this was in this early spring, so it was before it completely, the leaves came out and everything like that. But there was a lot of broken or dead branches in the middle of it and coming up. And my tree service, when they came out, they identified that parts of it, and I didn't have them do anything to it because, again, I don't know what I don't know, right? So, but as I've seen it, it is growing. But there's the power line that goes from the house out.
Yeah.
There is a branch. So I can fill out a new form. I don't have an issue with that. I just,
Because if you were requesting to remove it, it would go to the Shade Tree Commission. But if you can request for it to be trimmed, and that would be DPW.
okay, got that. I will do that. Yeah, that's really all I have. So appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Before you leave, make sure Mr. Gindi has your telephone number that he can call you. Anyone else?
Bill Cost, 16 Minor Street. The first thing I want to talk about, I'm going to get to the water in a second. First thing I want to talk about is I watched the last council meeting, and I was a little disturbed by some of the comments. Ms. Mara, Jason, when I heard how wonderful you thought the affair at the Portuguese Club was with the Honduras flag raising, I'm sure the flag raising was wonderful. I know you were there for a short time. I don't know how long you were there, but if you would have liked to have sat in my backyard and listened to that music, it was incredible how loud that music was. Now, I had neighbors who actually went to family members' homes to get away from it, okay? When you guys approve a resolution like that, you got to realize what's going on. I mean, I understand it was double booked. You're approving an affair for the parking lot. When these places are allowed to have an affair, part of it is that they provide parking. If the affair is in the parking lot, well, these people are going to be parking everywhere. Parking was an issue, but it wasn't the main issue. The main issue was that noise. There's people in our neighborhood that are elderly. There's people who are epileptic. There are autistic children. You can't have that loud music constant. When an ordinance like that is going to be approved, look at it and see, okay, it's approved to go from 2 to 11. You can have music for an hour and a half, half-hour break. Hour and a half, half-hour break. I mean, a lot of people, this is their one day off during the week, and they're listening to this the entire day. Pictures in my house were vibrating on the wall. The woman on Hollander Street was telling me how her windows were rattling. I've always considered the Portuguese Club good neighbors. 39 years I've lived in on that street. Never have I seen anything like this except for the year before. The year before, the same thing happened. This was also the first time that the next morning I went out to walk my dog. There's hard liquor cans laying in the street. They got to know who they're renting to. They got to know what's going on, and somebody has to watch them. It's not fair to the neighborhood, and it was quite upsetting. I know you guys stopped in and everything. I'm sure the flag raising was beautiful, but the affair itself, you can't have that loud music all day. And like I said, in 39 years, I've never come up here and complained about what happened down there. This was amazing. I've never heard such loud music in my life. It was incredible. So I'm just asking you, next time you see something has to be approved like that or something, please look at it and see what's going to be happening here. And also, especially with this flag raising, this is the second time it was a problem for that neighborhood. It's got to be looked at.
It was the same group?
It's the same group the year before that. All the neighbors had the same problem. I also had a neighbor that was pulling into our driveway, and a bunch of the people had parked a few doors up. They were walking down the street, and they said some really nasty things to her. She's one of the people that wound up getting in her car and leaving. I mean, it was not as nice as it sounded after I heard the council meeting. I just want you to take a look at these things next time. Other than that, I'm going to go with this gentleman here. Age and Mike Smith, Art, have been great with the water problem on Monmouth Street. They've helped us. They check on it. They always want to know, okay? But I'm going to show you. I was buying one of these filters and putting it in approximately every 25 days. That's what we're talking about coming through our system, okay? Now, I'm up to 45 days with the improvements, and I even called Art and told him. I said, I definitely see a change in what's been done. So, one of the reasons why I'm saying this is because the case of water, what are we talking, $4? We're talking about 20 here, all right? And I was going for more than 1 month. Now, one's lasting me about 40, 45 days, so I'm saving a little bit of money on it. But I know what he's saying. But this is absolutely disgusting. And that filter's supposed to be looked at in 90 days. It never makes it close to 90 days. It's terrible. So I appreciate what you did, Artie, and Age and Mike constantly making sure things are running right. When you hear the water running a little bit, you know there's a little motion. It's definitely doubled the life of my filter.
You're one of the streets with those 4-inch lines.
It's horrible.
Horrible.
And the sad
Not gonna
part
say you're
is,
wrong.
I knew that the water was tainted. You could see it never looked brown. It always looks like a yellowish brown. So until you put a filter in, you don't realize just how bad it really is. It's bad. So I'm just hoping that, you know, I see Mr. Hausman's on it, Mr. Gindy's on it. You guys seem to be on it. Just make sure you keep it up and don't take no for an answer, because if you do, put me on a board or whatever, and I'll go and meet with you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for your time.
Would I be able to ask him a question, Mr. Mayor? I lived on your block. The improvement that you see, is it because of the water flowing that goes on and off in the...
Definitely. Since that happened, my filter stays cleaner, at least double what it was. Because I'm not buying the filters as much, that's how I can tell.
Do we have an idea, though, of, I know the purpose is to keep the water flowing, but how much water are we really wasting going back in there of having that? Because I know the first time they put it in, it was on for 2 weeks.
What they did was
Without shutting it off.
lowered the amount of water going through. It's not, like, I walk the dog every night around 11 o'clock, and I can hear that water when I was walking the dog. Now, I literally like go over and I'm like, and I check and I can hear it when I get close to it. Before, I could tell from here to that beautiful picture of Mr. Eppinger. I could tell from that far away that was running. Okay?
And they did that for like over 2 weeks straight of that constant water just being put into our stormwater drain.
Well, you know what? I mean, you got to weigh it out, all right? Look at the people you knew Anita Hermstead, right? All right, the people who bought Anita's house. This woman had a brand new baby. She's like paranoid that she's got to bathe her baby in that water. What are we looking at? So I'd rather have a little bit of water running, waste a little water, whatever, and know that kid's getting a good clean bath rather than, and drinking. You know, people have their dogs. You're back to buying the bottle of water again for your dog. You know, you can't even use the water in the filter. So it's just, you have to weigh it out, and I would rather see. I mean, the woman was walking the baby today, and I was talking to her and laughing with the kid. You look at it, and it's like this poor kid's got no choice. It's disgusting.
I know, I lived on that street.
You know? All right, thank you.
Anyone else?
Make a motion to close public?
Second.
Motion to close, closed by Mr. Seula, seconded by Mr. Gindi. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Ayes have it. No mayoral appointments. Moving on to resolutions. Madam Clerk?
Whereas Resolution 2023-01 authorizes the Borough Council to utilize a consent agenda to adopt various resolutions of a routine and non-controversial nature at one time, now therefore be it and is hereby resolved that the below listed resolutions are hereby adopted by the Borough Council in whole as if the same were individually acted upon. Consent Resolutions 2023-292 to 2023-312. 292, authorize the requisition of funds to payment to the custodian of school monies. 293, resolution approving a cyber incident response plan. 294, authorizing an electronic tax sale. 295, authorizing a tax sale notice fee. 296, authorize the waiving of interest on delinquent utility balances. 297, authorizing the purchase and installation of a security system at the Jackson Street Firehouse. 298, transfer of year 2023 budget appropriations. 299, certify the 2022 audit. 300, 2023 best practices. 301, authorizing the notice of requisition for proposals for 2024 professionals. 302, permit a voluntary canning fundraiser to support the Jersey All-Stars. 303, appoint special law enforcement officer, Class 3. 304, authorize permanent status for a Department of Public Works Laborer A. 305, authorizing award to high energy electrical testing for the 2023 electrical substation maintenance. 306, resolution declaring emergency purchase of transformers. 307, authorizing pay estimate number 3 and closeout change order to Fernandez Construction. 308, authorize certain utility refunds. 309, appoint Joseph O'Grady as cadet for the South River Fire Department. 310, confirming appointment of Kenneth McLaughlin as volunteer firefighter to Reliable Fire Company. 311, accept October 2nd, 2023 special and executive session minutes. 312, authorize the bills and claims list.
Your pleasure on the consent resolutions.
Those are resolutions.
Resolution has been moved by Mrs. Ballas, seconded by Mr. Gindi. Roll call.
Councilwoman Ballas?
Yes.
Councilman Gindi?
Yes, with abstention to 297, 309, and for the bills, 312. The following would be 22-03-089, 23-01319, 02511, 02521, 02522, 02103, and 02762.
Councilman Kurtensky?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mira?
Yes, with a no to 293.
Councilman Olivera?
Yes.
Council President Siula?
Yes, with the abstention to 297, 309, 310, 311, and on 312, 22-03089, 23-01319, 02511, 02521, 02522, 02645, 02103, and 02762.
Thank you. All have been approved. There's no new business. We now come to governing body comments. Afterwards, we are going to go into executive session, but we will not be taking any action afterwards. So we'll have our reports, and then we'll break into executive session, and for all intents and purposes, the meeting will have come to an end. Start with Councilman Mara.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before I start, I do want to ask or request from the chief, since the construction is done on Whitehead Avenue, would they be able to begin the traffic study for Whitehead Avenue? I know it was something discussed with one of the sergeants. We were waiting because of the construction happening on the handicap ramps. Okay, thank you. you know, just like Virginia Street had their study plan and we're waiting for the residents, I think some of the residents want to see stuff happening on Whitehead and see what we can do to slow down Whitehead Avenue. This month was pretty eventful. I had the privilege of being invited to the Lead Foundation Conference with a great group of kids on Sunday, October 15th at the St. Mark's Academy. The point of this conference was all about sustainability, water efficiency, and these high school kids had tremendous ideas and wanting to do the work of trying to fix the world, basically, is what they wanted to say. But clean water, water efficiency, countries in the world that, you know, people have to stay home and walk miles to get a bucket of water for home. These were things that they saw are so detrimental to the world that it impacted them so greatly to do a whole conference on it. So I want to thank that organization. Mayor, I know you were there, but I guess I missed you because you were in the beginning.
I was beginning. I opened it up and welcomed everybody there. And yes, you're right. They had a wonderful time there, and it's good to see the young people getting involved and to think to the future as to what's going to happen.
So I just want to congratulate them. There were few of the members are from South River, but they're from all over in New Jersey. So it was just good to see a great group of kids interested in clean water and sustainability. I just want to mention of some upcoming events that should be happening. I know the Mexican community in South River will be having a Dia de los Muertos on October 28th at 40 Thomas Street. That would be the church parking lot. They're going to have a lot of events and stuff for the kids, just to show their traditions that they do for not Halloween, but Dia de los Muertos. So if anybody wants to go out to that, hopefully the weather holds up for them. I think today, Mayor, as everybody comes up and we continue to fight for a solution for our clean water, you know, we're waiting and what needs to come through us? Like, where do we start on this? Because we have the plan. Did they put it on the website, the map of the infrastructure that AGRA gave to us? Was that posted on our borough website?
No, that was for the committee.
I thought we had said that we would also post that on the website for the residents to see just how much of our infrastructure is 4-inch water mains, 6-inch water mains. That was mentioned.
It's quite extensive. It's a large report. They're going to the website.
Okay,
I can do that for you, sure.
I know Richard had mentioned it at the last meeting if we were going to put it, and I thought that was also going to be on there, just for our residents to see what the extent of the work is going to be and how do we start. We know that cleaning and lining of a 4-inch pipe isn't probably going to make a difference. It's a 4-inch pipe. We need to replace it. But we have to start. Bruce can't do anything unless we tell him to, right? We're up here, we need to tell them to do something. There's so much information they can give us, but if we don't come up with where to start, you know, we're just sitting here and not resolving the solution. So hopefully, I don't know if what we're waiting for is election to pass, but hopefully we can get a solution on this. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Gruchensky.
Thank you, Mayor. All I have to say is the leaf bag pickups will be on Saturday, and they are at the recycling center, not at the office. And also that the borough offices and everything will be closed on Friday, this November 10th, in honor of Veterans Day, and there will be a short ceremony on the 11th at the War Memorial Building. With that, I thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Oliveira.
Just wanted to congratulate the boys varsity soccer team For the first time in school history, they made it to the semifinals of the GMC tournament. So again, that's a great accomplishment. The boys and women's soccer team will be opening up state playoffs. I believe the boys team got the 3rd seed and the girls team is the number 9 seed. So we'll get to see some games at home. As Mr. Gurchensky, I just want to set up and thank you for your service. Want to thank everyone who served. And you know, Veterans Day is an important day to remember everyone. November, what is it? The election's November 7th, I believe.
11th.
11th.
7th. No, the election day is the 7th. Veterans Day is the 11th.
But you know, exercise your right to vote. That's one thing that, you know, we have the opportunity to do. And you know, I think sometimes it gets taken for granted, and a lot of people don't vote. I think we have a turnout of what, 9-10% usually in our borough. Let's try to get that a little bit higher. And that's all I have for tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Seola.
Thank you, Mayor. I missed our last meeting, but my thoughts and prayers go out to the families and businesses that were affected by the Main Street fire. The South River Fire Department and numerous neighboring fire departments were on scene for approximately 10 hours. I would like to personally thank all South River volunteer firefighters, the South River Ladies Auxiliary, and our South River Police Department, all responding fire departments that helped out. Robert Wood Johnson, the medics, were also on scene. We also would like to thank South River Wawa for supporting the firemen with food and beverages, along with businesses on Main Street supplying food and the use of their facilities during this time. I would like to say that the South River Fire Department is a fully volunteer department. Okay, it has been brought to my attention that there were multiple comments on social media criticizing the operation of the fire departments during that time. These men and women risked their lives to save people and property in all situations. To those people who were criticizing the fire department's always seeking volunteers. So if you want to join, please see me or any firefighter for an application to join the fire department. We will definitely need your assistance, and we'll be more than happy to get you set up. And with that, Mayor, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Ballas?
Yeah, just a couple of things. They did have the free cycle over the weekend. I just asked people that the stuff they left on the sidewalks and the curbs, because there's still a lot there tonight when I drove through town purposely. Just bring it in, put it out another day, maybe they'll take it again. I know people have comments on how bad the town always looks, there's garbage all over the front. That's all I ask. There was a lot of people participating and a lot of good stuff, but just clean up a little after yourselves. Remember our veterans on Veterans Day. I was fortunate enough to have been married to one for 35 years. And I thank him. I thank my sister, who's also a veteran, and some nieces and nephews. So thank a veteran on Veterans Day. I wish you all a happy Halloween. And remember to get out and vote. And that's it.
Thank you. Mr. Gindi?
Thank you. Parks and Rec, they did a remarkable job with the trunk or treat. It was a great turnout. I was there pretty much the whole time. The Lead Foundation, I too also went to it. Arun did a phenomenal job with the sustainable development. These kids were remarkable. With the parks, I have a question to Joe Zanga. I know that our equipment has been removed due to the word old and the word safety. Where do we stand today? Because I know our equipment, most of our equipment came in. Where are we at the base?
We bought the equipment from to reach out to them also. They're willing to put the equipment in, but that forum play is, right now, we're in a queue. That's all I keep saying. We're in a queue. There's a lot of people that need this stuff, and when our stuff is made, they'll get Daly's Park done. The other part was volunteers, so we took equipment down. That'll be next year's budget.
Right.
I told them also that we don't want to do it in the winter time, so I said, stuff comes in like December, when it's bad weather.
Right. Thank you. Bruce, question for you. I know roads, we have replaced 11 roads in the past 2 years. I've been driving around town. There's quite a few roads that still need repair. I know we can't repair everything in one shot, but if we can, or if we could we put up a list, maybe to DPW, and see if we can move forward on some of the roads come next year?
There's another grant that I mentioned tonight, so if you want to pick, a few of whatever the Director of Public Works thinks are the worst of the worst, and you'd like us to put together an application for that, we can do that.
Well, I would like to do that.
That probably would be a very good starting point, and I hope to hear announcements soon from the DOT. Probably come later because it's up on the website now. I don't recall the closure date. It's not been publicized. I just happened to come about it through a friend who's there for the DOT, and he told me it's in the governor's budget. So it's on stage. So
Thank you.
I think that would be a good starting point for that. And eventually, if you get one of those and you want to add funding to it and expand the plan, then you can.
I think we're going to do that. Now, roads, well, I should say, let's talk about water. I know that the water complaint has been going on, so they say, in the past 5 years. Since I got onto the council, we spent well over $5 million just on the base, just to repair it. And here we are today, going after the water lines. What bothers me about this is we keep talking about a plan. We keep talking about it over and over again, and I hear people like Dan or Bill Koss that talks about how this water issue has been around for a while. I have a list dating back as far as 2013 showing rusty water. I have it at my house today. What bothers me and aggravates me is although this administration has been moving forward on trying to get this water issue resolved, the water issue could have been resolved years ago. Now, I'm going to read you a summary, and this aggravates me. As indicated, the borough's water system is badly in need of improvements. It is anticipated that the corrosion and crustation of the unlined mains will continue and pose major distribution and water quality difficulties. The cleaning and lining project will have a positive impact on same. We trust this document will assist the governing body with creating a long-term financial plan for upgrading their water distribution system in phased manner. What bothers me is that Ms. Miura actually just commented on something. She said we had to give direction to CME to move forward on this. What I just read to you was the plan that was done back in July of 1998. Sean Hauserman should remember this because he was sitting as a councilman. CME did the report. The report shows $13 million anticipated. We all know that doubled or tripled. But what bothers me also is that Mr. Hutchison told me or told us that it took 30 years. Today it would be 25 years. If we actually moved on it back then, we wouldn't be in this kind of jam right now. I could promise you this, the problem will get resolved with me and for that matter going forward. Sick and tired of everybody talking about it. And you can laugh all you want, sitting right here. Moving forward, if anybody has any questions, feel free to give me a call, and I have nothing else for tonight.
Thank you. Again, as I've often have said, coming together, the trunk or treat was the time for the town to get together. There are other times that you can get together. St. Peter and Paul's having their fall festival. That's going to be on the 28th. The Veterans Day ceremony, the 11th hour, 11th day of the 11th month. That's when we'll be down at the museum. Come, short ceremony. It's worthwhile. And, just dress accordingly because we have roasted up there and we have frozen up there. Halloween, Mischief Night, curfew. There's going to be a curfew in South River on the 30th and 31st. Please be careful when you're driving around. The kids will probably should be in shiny costumes. Many are not, because many adults are not. Almost ran into another one. You know, when it gets dark, even though the car has lights, if you're wearing dark clothing, you cannot be seen. Please be careful. Election Day. 2 referendums there. 1, marijuana retail. 2, Denny Stadium and a turf field. Let your opinion be known. And I will start advertising it now, South River's best kept secret. The Wednesday before Thanksgiving, there will be an ecumenical service. It will be at the First Reformed Church to welcome the new pastor there. It's 45 minutes of prayer and song and food and fellowship. And please come. As I said, it's the best kept secret. You see the same faces year in, year out. It is open to everybody. So please come. Is there anything else before this governing body, before we go into closed? Hearing none, may I have the resolution for closed session? I wish you all a good night. We'll see you November 13th.
Resolution 2023-313, whereas Section 8 of Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, permits the exclusion of the general public from a meeting of the governing body under certain circumstances, and whereas the mayor and council of the Borough of South River are of the opinion such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be it and is hereby resolved by the mayor and council of the Borough of South River in the county of Middlesex of the state of New Jersey, that the public be excluded upon the hereinafter specific subject matter, and that such subject matter to be so discussed is as follows. Litigation. Be it further resolved that such record of the above discussion will be made public when confidentiality is no longer required.
Your pleasure on the resolution.
Motion.
Second.
Motion has been made by Mr. Gindi, seconded by Mrs. Ballas. Roll call.
Councilwoman Ballas? Councilman Gindi?
Yes.
Councilman Gertenski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mira?
Yes.
Councilman Olivera?
Yes.
Council President Seula?
Yes.
We're in executive session.
Are they all
Motion.
trapped?
Motion open.
Motion by Mr. Gindi to
Second.
open, seconded by Mr. Olivera. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? The ayes have it. Motion to close by Mrs. Ballas, seconded by Mr. Seula. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? The ayes have it. Please stand adjourned.